You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. A data inventory is a structured catalog that documents what types of data an organization holds, where it resides, who owns it, why it is processed, and how sensitive it is. Think of it as a map of the data landscape. Without it, organizations are essentially operating blind, unable to prove compliance, fulfill deletion requests, or manage retention obligations. A good inventory doesn't just list databases. It accounts for structured systems, unstructured files, cloud storage, and even shared drives. By centralizing this information, organizations create a foundation for privacy, security, and governance, making other compliance tasks far more efficient and defensible. Data inventories are foundational because they enable multiple downstream compliance and operational requirements. When regulators demand evidence of how personal data is managed, the inventory shows what is collected and why. Subject access or deletion requests require knowing exactly where the data resides, or organizations risk incomplete responses. Retention management depends on knowing which systems store which data, otherwise deletion rules cannot be enforced. Without an inventory, organizations may over-retain information, violating minimization principles, or under-retain, violating legal record-keeping laws. The inventory underpins everything else, making it one of the first steps in building compliance maturity. Classification tiers add structure by grouping data based on its sensitivity and intended use. Public data may be shared openly, while internal data is meant only for employees. Confidential data, like financial records or customer information, requires greater controls, and restricted data, such as health records, demands the highest safeguards. These classifications guide both retention and protection policies. For example, restricted health data may need to be encrypted, retained only as long as legally required, and securely deleted afterward. Classification ensures that data is not treated uniformly, but managed with protections and retention rules appropriate to its sensitivity. Retention policy drivers are varied but interconnected. Legal and regulatory requirements often mandate minimum retention periods, such as tax records being stored for 7 years. Business needs, like maintaining historical data for analytics, may extend retention beyond legal minimums. At the same time, data minimization principles discourage retaining personal data indefinitely, reducing risk of exposure. Balancing these drivers requires judgment and documentation. For example, keeping customer purchase history may be valuable for marketing, but retention should still have a defined endpoint once its business usefulness expires. A clear policy aligns legal, business, and privacy considerations. Deletion and anonymization represent two distinct approaches to handling data subject requests. Deletion means removing the data entirely from all systems, while anonymization removes personal identifiers so the data no longer relates to an individual but may still be useful in aggregate. For example, an organization may delete a customer's personal account details but retain anonymized purchase trends for analytics. Deletion fulfills the strictest privacy requirements but may impact business insights, while anonymization offers a compromise. Choosing between them depends on regulatory requirements, business needs, and technical feasibility. Both approaches must be executed carefully to avoid accidental retention. The right to be forgotten, also called erasure, is a key privacy right under laws like GDPR. It allows individuals to request deletion of their personal data when it is no longer necessary for the purpose collected, or when consent is withdrawn. However, exceptions exist. For example, organizations may deny deletion if data is required to comply with legal obligations, support legal claims, or fulfill contracts. Verification steps are also critical. Organizations must ensure the requester is indeed the data subject before deletion occurs. This right underscores the principle of user control but requires careful balance against other obligations. Technical challenges often complicate data deletion. Backups may contain personal data, archived media may be immutable, and third-party processors may hold copies. Distributed caches and content delivery networks can keep data fragments alive longer than expected. For example, a customer's email deleted from production may still exist in backup tapes scheduled for destruction years later. Regulators often acknowledge these realities but expect organizations to have clear policies, such as ensuring deleted data is not restored from backups and will expire naturally within retention schedules. Addressing these challenges requires realistic, transparent procedures that align with both law and technology. Operational workflows provide the backbone for handling deletion requests. They usually follow a sequence: intake of the request, verification of the requester's identity, analysis of where the data resides and whether exceptions apply, fulfillment through deletion or anonymization, and confirmation back to the requester. For example, if a customer asks for deletion, staff confirm identity, locate the data in CRM and email archives, apply deletions, and send a completion notice. Standardized workflows prevent ad hoc handling, ensuring consistency, defensibility, and timely responses across the organization. Audit trails are essential for deletion requests, proving that the organization responded appropriately. These trails should include the original request, verification steps, actions taken, timestamps, and any exceptions applied. For instance, if a deletion request is denied due to legal hold, the audit trail should note who approved the exception and why. Without an audit trail, organizations may struggle to prove compliance, especially if regulators or courts later question how requests were handled. A defensible record transforms privacy rights handling from promises into demonstrable governance. Secure deletion practices ensure data is not only removed, but rendered unrecoverable. Sensitive storage systems may require overwriting, cryptographic erasure, or degaussing for media. Proofs of deletion, such as logs showing successful erasure or certificates from vendors, provide assurance. For example, deleting customer financial records may require wiping disks according to NIST standards and retaining the erasure report. Inadequate deletion, such as simple file delete, risks data being recoverable later, undermining compliance and trust. Secure deletion and evidence of it protect both the organization and the individuals whose data was erased. Exception handling is a necessary safeguard when deletion cannot proceed. Legal holds may require retaining data for litigation, active investigations may override erasure, and some regulations require specific retention periods regardless of user requests. For example, a hospital cannot delete certain medical records even if a patient requests it, due to statutory requirements. Exceptions must be documented with clear justification, approvals, and expiration conditions. This ensures transparency and prevents misuse of exceptions as a blanket excuse to deny valid requests. Managed properly, exceptions preserve compliance while balancing legal and operational realities. A practical starter exercise illustrates how to operationalize these principles. Select one data type, such as customer email addresses. Over 1 week, locate all storage locations, customer relationship systems, marketing platforms, backups, and archives. Assign ownership for each dataset. Draft a retention rule specifying how long emails should be kept, how they will be deleted after expiration, and what exceptions apply, such as ongoing legal holds. This exercise reveals both the complexity of data sprawl and the necessity of inventories, ownership, and clear policies. It turns abstract requirements into actionable practices for data governance. By the end of Part 1, learners should recognize that effective compliance with privacy rights begins with a robust data inventory and clear retention rules. Without knowing where data resides, organizations cannot honor requests or demonstrate discipline. Secure deletion, exception handling, and audit trails make these processes defensible. With this foundation, Part 2 will explore how to design retention schedules, automate safe deletions, and integrate third-party accountability, building resilience and trust into the organization's data management practices. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Automation helps enforce retention and deletion policies without relying solely on human intervention. Many storage platforms and document management systems allow lifecycle policies or retention tags to be applied, automatically purging records when they exceed their lifespan. For instance, cloud storage may delete files after 90 days if tagged accordingly. Automation reduces error, improves efficiency, and makes compliance scalable across large volumes of data. However, automation must be carefully configured to avoid premature deletion that violates legal holds or contractual obligations. The safest approach blends automation with oversight, balancing compliance efficiency with precision. Legacy archives and long-term backups pose special challenges during erasure requests. These storage formats, often tape or offline media, are difficult to search or selectively purge. Organizations must decide whether to exclude backups from immediate erasure while ensuring that deleted data is not restored in the future. For example, if a customer requests deletion, data may remain in backups until those backups naturally expire. Clear communication about these limitations, combined with policies preventing restoration of deleted data, helps manage expectations and compliance obligations. Addressing legacy systems requires both technical creativity and transparent governance. Minimizing data exposure is an ongoing objective tied to retention and inventory discipline. Limiting the number of copies and carefully tracking data provenance reduces both compliance risk and operational complexity. For example, ensuring that customer records are only stored in a central CRM, rather than spread across email inboxes and spreadsheets, simplifies deletion and retention tasks. Provenance tracking. Knowing where data originated and where it flows provides visibility when requests or audits arise. By minimizing unnecessary duplication, organizations reduce both costs and risks while improving their ability to comply with privacy obligations. Verifying deletion across third parties is another essential step. Many organizations rely on processors or vendors who hold copies of their data. Deletion requests must cascade outward, requiring vendors to delete their copies as well. Contracts should mandate confirmation of deletion, often in the form of certificates or audit reports. For example, if a cloud hosting provider stores backups, the organization must obtain assurance that personal data was deleted from those systems too. Without verification, compliance gaps emerge, leaving organizations vulnerable to regulatory penalties and reputational damage when data persists outside their control. Metrics bring accountability and continuous improvement to retention and deletion practices. Useful measures include average time to fulfill erasure requests, percentage of data types fully inventoried, and exception rates when deletion cannot occur. For example, a metric might show that 90% of erasure requests are completed within 20 days, but 10% are delayed due to legacy archive issues. Tracking such metrics highlights bottlenecks, prioritizes resource allocation, and demonstrates compliance maturity to regulators. Metrics turn abstract obligations into quantifiable progress, allowing organizations to benchmark performance and build trust with stakeholders. Balancing business needs with privacy rights is often one of the most delicate challenges. Data may be valuable for analytics or customer engagement, but retention must still respect legal obligations and individual rights. Documenting lawful bases for extended retention ensures defensibility. For example, a company may justify retaining transaction histories for 5 years due to fraud prevention needs, even though customers request deletion sooner. Clear documentation shows regulators and auditors that retention is intentional, lawful, and proportionate, not arbitrary. This balance ensures compliance does not undermine legitimate business operations. The interplay between incidents, legal holds, and retention policies requires careful planning. When litigation or investigations arise, legal holds may override standard deletion flows, pausing erasure until obligations are resolved. For example, if a customer requests deletion but their data is evidence in an ongoing fraud investigation, retention must continue until the case concludes. Systems must allow for these pauses while still documenting exceptions. By integrating legal holds into workflows, organizations demonstrate that they honor privacy rights without compromising legal or regulatory obligations. Clear communication with data subjects is vital during deletion and retention processes. Standardized templates should explain what data is being erased, what exceptions apply, and how long fulfillment will take. Timelines must be transparent, setting realistic expectations for requesters. For example, a notice may explain that deletion is completed immediately in production systems but may take longer for legacy backups. Transparent communication fosters trust, even when full erasure cannot occur instantly, showing individuals that their rights are taken seriously and their requests are handled with integrity. Retention reviews are necessary to keep policies aligned with evolving business and legal contexts. Major business changes, such as mergers or product retirements, often shift data requirements. Similarly, new regulations may require adjustments to existing retention schedules. Periodic reviews. Often annual ensure inventories remain accurate, retention periods reflect current needs, and exceptions are justified. For example, when a product line is discontinued, associated customer data may no longer have a valid business purpose and should be scheduled for deletion. Retention reviews keep compliance fresh and adaptive, avoiding outdated policies. Governance structures ensure accountability for data inventory and retention. Data stewards can be assigned to oversee specific data classes, responsible for ensuring policies are followed and attestations are submitted. A central retention catalog should be maintained, providing a single source of truth across the organization. Periodic attestations from data owners confirm compliance, much like control attestations in other compliance domains. Governance ensures that data management is not left to chance but embedded into organizational responsibilities, strengthening defensibility and resilience. Ultimately, robust data rights compliance rests on three pillars: a complete data inventory, automated retention controls, and clear erasure workflows. Mapping data ensures visibility, automation ensures efficiency, and workflows ensure requests are honored transparently and defensibly. Together, they transform privacy rights from lofty principles into daily operational practices. When organizations demonstrate that they can locate, classify, retain, and delete data systematically while documenting exceptions, they build trust with regulators, customers, and partners alike. Compliance in this domain is not just about avoiding fines, but about showing respect for the individuals whose data organizations are entrusted to protect. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.